Asmadgurubhyo namaha, asmadparamagurubhyo namaha, asmadsarvagurubhyo namaha. Shri Krishna Parabrahmane namaha, Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Parabrahmane namaha, Shri Lakshmi Hayodhana Parabrahmane namaha, Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. I hope you can hear me properly, and we'll start the class right away. Share.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. You can see lecture 62, right? You can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. See, the thing is, every time I try to understand and try to describe my grandfather's views on Kena Upaniṣad, it's quite hard for me. First of all, he is also trying to do a very difficult job, which is more like a research, his research, lifetime research, he is trying to explain. So, because mapping of yogic stages and Upāsanā stages from one Upanishad to some other Upanishad or Bhagavad Gītā or Brahma Sutras, this kind of mapping is not very easy. And the other thing is, Sampath, my grandfather, is trying to make a very subtle point that there are some additional information which has to be provided along with Rāmānuja Bhashya, because his viewpoint is some aspects of the yoga as explained in the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gītā is not well described in the Rāmānuja Bhashya to the extent of clarity he wants. Okay, that's his view. And the other thing is, in general public, around all of you, all of us, everybody in this world is very attuned. We're all attuned to understand and get information from internet and other places to understand Shankara Bhashya, Shankaracharya's view. Often we get that, and we take that as standard. When somebody differs from this, a lot of background needs to be given as to why, my grandfather's view is different and how he explains Rāmānuja's view or Vedanteshika's view. Because we don't have direct Upanishad Bhashyas from Rāmānuja or Vedanteshika on Kena Upaniṣad, we have to rely on by Rāmānuja Bhashya. So it's a little hard topic for me, honestly. And thanks for even listening to this, because this is, most people would say, oh, look, this is not the stage at which I want to listen to a lecture. Unfortunately, I'm at the stage and you're stuck with me. Another point I want to make here is I'm trying to develop information carefully. The reason is I have to understand Sampath view very clearly, justify it, validate it against what I know in the Gita and the Upanishads properly, and also match it up with the traditional commentaries and ideas. It's taking much longer than I thought. Second thing is, I have less time in the US. When I'm in the US, my time is, I don't have so much time. So with this introduction, I'll start going further. We were doing Kena Upaniṣad. Kena Upaniṣad basically is, this is what is Kena Upaniṣad. I have just listed the original verses starting from the Mangala Shloka, the preparatory verses like Apyayantu Mamangani and Keneshitam Padati Preshitam Manaha. We finished the first section, which is this is the first section, which ends in Yat Pranena Praniti. Yena Prana Praniyate Tadeva Brahmatvam Vidhi Nedam Yadidam Upasate. So that is the first section of Kena Upaniṣad. We finished that. Now this is the second section of Kena Upaniṣad. Idimanyase suvedeti dabhramevapi nonam ved tattvam brahmano rupam. It starts there. There are only 5 shlokas in this section. Unlike the other sections, I think other sections have a bigger number of shlokas per section. This Vidyā Khandha, second Khandha, has only 5 shlokas. In this, the order in which the verses go is this Yadimanyase Suvedeti means that the teacher is telling the student, you may not really know Brahman properly. If you think that you know Brahman, it's very little of Brahman you know, right? That's what teacher is telling the student, and the student says Manya Vidyātam, Mimamsam Evate. That means, oh, whatever you know so far is not sufficient, and student accepts that Manya Vidyātam. I understand. I accept where things are, and the student clarifies in the next verse that Naham Manya Suvedeti, no na vedeti vedacha, yonas tadveda tadveda, no na vedeti vedacha. It's a complex rendering here. Student states the current condition that the student knows that he does not have sufficient knowledge of Upāsanā or Brahman at this point. So that is, but the thing is, this is how Sampathayana understands this here. On the contrary, the second verse is actually, and that is true. Okay, so far is okay. Sampathayana and Rāmānuja does not differ here. In the next verse, yasya matam tasya matam, matam yasya navedasaha, avidyātam viśiṣṭādvaita, Vijñātam avidyānatam. This is the verse. Basically say that if a person has an opinion about Brahman, he doesn't know. If it is known to the people who don't know him, it is not known to the people who think that they know him. Something like that, right? So the second verse is taken as the Shruti's view, or the Upanishad's view, or the teacher's view, you should say, right? According to Rāmānuja. But Sampathayana takes the second verse, that is this yasya matam tasya matam, matam yasya navedasaha, this whole verse, he takes it as student's acceptance of his unpreparedness, or he does not have a mature understanding of Upāsanā or Brahman. So that is how Sampathayana takes it. So why does it take it? We need to go a little bit detail in this. Today, I want to finish only this section. That is the 3 verses only. I thought I would finish the second whole section, which includes the next 2 verses, which is Pratibodha Viditam Matam Amrutatvam Hi Vindate, Atmana Vidyate Vindate Vidyam, Vidyā Vindate Amrutam. This is the most crucial verse of this section, this Pratibodha Viditam, and this is where most different acharyas have very different views here. And the 5th verse is pretty straightforward. Ihached avedi tatah satyam asti, nached iva nached iha vedit mahati vinashtihi. If you know Brahman right here before death, there is some value. Nached avedit, if one does not know Brahman here, nached iha avedit, if one does not know Brahman while living here, mahati vinashtihi, it is a major loss, is a disastrous loss for a human being. Bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha pratyasman lokad amruta bhavanti. Rough meaning of this is somehow, what do you call, the intelligent ones get out of this and they understand Brahman here, and after leaving this life here will become immortal. That is the fifth verse is like final, saying that, look, I have told you all these things. The whole of Upāsanā is said right here in this one verse, Pratibodha Viditam Matam Amrutatvam Hi Vindate. Atmana vindate vidyam Vidyā vindate amritam. So there is a lot contained in just this one verse. And once Brahman is known in that way, that person gets moksha. If a person does not know Brahman in that way, there is a major loss, disastrous loss for that person. So what is that loss? All beings here just eat, eat, sleep, and enjoy, and one day die. So there will be no difference between an animal and a human being. So if a person really believes that the person is a human being, the biggest goal to go after is moksha. And this is the golden opportunity for people to go to moksha. And for that you need upasana. And upasana is explained in Pratipoda Viditam Matam Amritatvam, this verse. And these three verses give the background. That is Yadimanyase Suvedeti and Naham Manye Suvedeti and Yasyamatam Tasyamatam. Verses 1, 2, and 3 of the second section gives the background, and Upasana background for the next two verses, that is these two verses. Coming back to the first three verses here, the first three verses of the second section, this has a lot of information embedded in it from the information we know from Īśa Upaniṣad. So this is the fundamental idea of Sampathayingar, that there's a lot of hidden material in Īśa Upaniṣad. You have to understand to properly understand these three shlokas, and obviously the rest of the shlokas also. So this is the idea. So far, do you understand the structure of the second Kena Upaniṣad Dvitiya Kandaha? Any questions on the structure?
No, Swami, yes, it's clear. The structure is clear. I have a question. Can you briefly explain what you mean by Upāsanā? Does it mean contemplation? Is it?
Contemplation is more manana. That means what happens is contemplation means you study something. Say, all study the Shastras, Upanishad, Brahma Sutra, Bhagavad Gītā, and all. This all study. Right? Study, contemplating is this the meaning of this? What exactly is the meaning of this? See, contemplation is thinking about whether you understood what was given to you by your Acharya Guru, who taught you about all these Upanishads and textbooks. So manana is that. That is contemplation. Upasana means directly, one simple answer is, Upasana means all acharyas agree that is meditation. What does meditation mean? There is a upasya vastu. There is an object of meditation. And the person focuses on object of meditation without getting distracted by anything else. So the person will have already decided that the upasya vastu and the meditation is the only process available for him or her to get ultimate bliss. So this is this process explained in the Bhagavad Gītā as the yogas in the Bhagavad Gītā. Karma yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and bhakti yoga are all processes or stages of upasana. Is that clear?
Yes, Swami, thank you.
Any other question before we step into Sampathayingar's view of the first three verses of second section? Okay, yeah. So first verse is Kena Upaniṣad. Edimanyase suvedeti darbhamevapi nūnam tvam vetha brahmano rūpam yadasya tvam yadasya deveshu athanu mimamsyamevate manye viditam is the answer given by the student. So the teacher is telling in the second section, Edimanyase suvedeti, if you think you know Brahman, dabhramevapi nūnam tvam vetatvam brahmano rupam, you know very little of Brahman. Yadasya tvam, what you know so far, and yadasya deveshu, what you know about Brahman related to the devas or devatas. Athanu, all these combined, you know very little. Even if considering all of this. No, mimamsa mevate, this is something to be rethought. You have to think and contemplate further about what you know. Manya viditam. That means the student says, I understand. So if you look at this, from what I have told you, if you think you have known Brahman, then it is wrong. So far, whatever was given to you is not sufficient for you to understand Brahman properly. You have known very little, the form of Brahman. This includes what you know as Vedic student and among deities. So far, who is the student? He is actually a Vedic student who has finished Karmakanda. This is in the Vajasaniya Samhita, in the Karmakanda itself. So far, in the prior portions of the Aranyaka, where this Upanishad is contained, the Kena Upaniṣad is contained, the Aranyakas and other things as background has given the Vedic student capability to do only Agnihotra, the karmas. And whatever this student has understood by knowing what these karmas are and actually doing the karmas, if you include all that information, and also it talks about deities, different deities. And so the Vedic student also knows the nature of deities. So what exactly is Mimamsa? Okay, why do you need Mimamsa? Mimamsa is the connection between something supernatural and this life. So Mimamsa is, all the science and other things what we know here will only give you information about what is perceivable here. If you want to perceive something different, that means what happens when I die. If I want to go to a better life like a Swarga or something, what will I have to do? So something beyond science. Mimamsa is a connection. Mimamsa gives you details. Yajna, yagadis are the ones which give you strategies and procedures to achieve something beyond this life. It could be wealth, better life, knowledge, or finally moksha itself. Mimamsa leads about karma mainly, and the Upanishad leads to final release and amritatva or immortality. So that is the focus of Upanishads. So manye viditam, I understand. So mimamsamevate means you should contemplate further. So this mimamsamevate is exactly not mimamsa of the Karmakanda, Jaimini Sutras and other things, Purva Mimamsa. That is not exactly the meaning of mimamsamevate. Here mimamsamevate means contemplate further on what you know. You know the Jaimini's Purva Mimamsa's portions, Karmakanda and other things like that. You know about Devatas. That knowledge is not sufficient for you to understand Brahman. That's the idea here. Is it so? This signifies the student's understanding of the initial teaching. So far, you understood everything fine? No doubts here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, next. Foundation from Īśvara Upanishad. Now, we have to get back to Īśvara Upanishad and clearly understand what did we understand from Īśvara Upanishad and what is that we require to understand Kena Upaniṣad, which is the next one. So here, if you go, Īśvara Upanishad says Ātman or Brahman here. You have to understand, sometimes Ātman refers to jīvātman, but here Ātman refers to Brahman, has both form and formless aspects. How do we know that Īśvara talks about form and formless? Look at the first verse. Īśāvasyamidam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. That Īśa, what we are talking about, has pervaded everything. Everything you can think of. Īśa is there. So think is the all pervasive nature means it's pretty much formless. At the same time, in the Ushan, 16th verse. Ushan ekarshe yamasurya prajapatya vyuha rashmin samuhate jahayatte rupam kalyanatamam tatte pashyami yosa vasau purushaha sohamasmi. This is the 16th verse. It says Pushan ekarshe yamasurya prajapatya vyuha rashmin. Read the details in those verses in earlier classes, maybe lecture 40, 47 or 45 or somewhere around in those lectures, we have gone into details of this. Here I'm only focusing on Tejaha yatte rupam kalyanatamam tatte pashyami. Oh, your divine light, yatte rupam kalyanatamam. I am seeing that most auspicious form of yours. And it goes further. Yosa vasau purushaha sohamasmi. That wonderful form of yours, what I see, that Purusha, that personality is same as myself. So Ahamasmi, I am the one. This is how, what do you call, this is what Īśavasya 16, the verse 16 says. So not only does it say, the Upanishad says the Brahman has these two characteristics of form and formlessness. At the same time, that Brahman is equated to the aspirant itself. Yo asau purusha, so ahamasmi. I am that person. Oh, this becomes even more complex. What does it mean? I am that Brahman. I am seeing that Brahman, but I am that Brahman. What does it mean? So this is embedded as knowledge we require to understand Kena Upaniṣad properly. And this Sohamasmi has to be understood. It was already explained to you in lecture 48 or something like that, that what exactly is Sohamasmi, how does Rāmānuja and Shankaracharya differ here, right? In simple, Shankaracharya takes it as directly that Jiva is same as Brahman. But Rāmānuja takes it as Jiva is powered by Brahman. So there is nothing valuable Jiva has other than being as Jiva. But Jiva is powered by completely energized by, given everything Jiva has by Parabrahman, who is the Antaryami or the inner indweller. So that is why, that's how Rāmānuja takes it. But if you map it into the process of Upāsanā, how does this map into the process of Upāsanā in detail? That's what we need to study. This slide is clear to you?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Next slide. So the teaching now identifies this Ātman as Brahman. So this adds to the previous description that Brahman or Supreme is both with form and formlessness. It is both, it has form and no form. Brahman is also supernatural beyond the natural world. The supernatural aspects and all is not well understood by the student. The mind or our mind, which forms opinions. So Mati is mind, right? Mati is buddhi, Mati is also mind. Mati is through mind we form opinions. Oh, okay, it is cold out there. I cannot go outside today. It is raining outside. All these things are the mind forms opinions about stuff it sees in the world, realizes in the world. But Brahman is supernatural and mind cannot comprehend the supernatural form of divinity. Mind cannot transcend this universe. Mind simplifies things to keep it closer to the body, right? The body is living in this external world. And so mind keeps it so that the body can understand all these things. But mind cannot go beyond the universe. So, and the student is from a lower school, Karma Kāṇḍa, which focuses on Vedic studies. And he understands himself as the agent, doer. So, Karta, Bhokta, he is an enjoyer. And he is also a universal organism. This is an interesting point my grandfather brings. I usually don't use this term universal organism in normal speech, right? I didn't understand why does he say universal organism? He says that, look, this entire universe is an organism, in the sense that this views the entire universe as not as a collection of disconnected parts. But the modern science and all of us view it as a collection of disconnected parts, right? Because we are very selfish in a way. Oh, I'm separate. I can't stand with these kind of people. I will go separate from this. I don't care about what they do. I don't care about what is happening out there. I want to do what I want to do. So all these things, our view is pretty much trying to understand life as disconnected parts. And everything is disconnected and become more and more selfish in a way. That's how we understand in general. But in truth, what it is everything is connected. And this whole universe itself is a single living entity, interconnected, much like a biological organism with various parts working together. A biological organism, even an amoeba, it has so many parts, but it works together as a single organism. Similarly, this whole universe is a single organism. And slowly, the student understands this, that, oh, there is this Brahman, there is this Īśvara, there is this Jada, there is this body, there is this mind, intellect, and all those things. All these things are working together, with Īśvara as the center of this universe, power behind the universe. So the teacher clarifies that the student's current knowledge encompasses.
My question.
Yes.
In the previous slide, we're still talking of when we say Ātman here as the agent and doer, it's still paramātman only, right?
Sorry.
Yes,
No.
Here,
I'm sorry. I have to look at the way it is written. The student from a lower school Karmakanda, focused on Vedic studies, understand himself as Ātman, the agent and the doer within the universal organism. See, he is an individual jīvātman here. I had to probably, this is a problem in Sanskrit, okay? But here, Ātma, here in this particular slide, it's an individual jīvātma we're talking about. We can even say,
so he is Sampradaya, Swami is following Rāmānuja Bhashya to say that the jiva is being powered by Brahman still.
True.
And not the first statement in the slide, which is saying that identified. Okay.
Exactly. Okay. This is actually Rāmānuja Bhashya, which Sampradaya explains.
Okay.
Now, so the teacher clarifies that the student's current knowledge encounter. What does student know? That's what teacher is telling. The immanence of God within the universe, Antaryami, that is understood in the Īśa Upaniṣad itself. What the student does not grasp fully is supernatural form. That means you cannot there is nothing in this universe which is exactly like Brahman. But Brahman is inside this universe. But the rest of the universe, that is the matter or jivas or something, they are all unlike Brahman. The supernatural form can be only perceived by intelligence completely detached from mind's influence. This is a key part of the entire our spiritual process of yoga, Shastra, Upāsanā, everything is one aspect here. That means you have to disconnect from the influence of mind and make mind subservient. Hardly most people cannot do it. And only when somebody makes mind completely subservient or disconnected or get away from the influence of mind, then they can understand the supernatural form of Brahman to some extent. Okay. The students accept this distinction. Okay, a student says, okay, I know something I don't know. And he contemplates further and says, now I know. Means God, Brahman is supernatural and also unlimited. So I may never know Brahman completely, but I know something about Brahman, but not completely. That is the view of Rāmānuja on this kind of a view, and this kind of a situation, right? That's general. So student himself is now going to articulate his view of what he knows. And that is the second, second verse. Naham manye suvedeti, no navedeti vedacha, yonas tadveda tadveda, no navedeti vedacha. This looks like a riddle or a puzzle, and I'm sure each acharya understands this word slightly differently. That is fine. But Sampathanga says, I don't say I know Brahman very well. Naham manye suvedeti. That is the meaning here. No na vedeti vedacha. Nor do I consider that I do not know. He among us knows like this. That is yo naha tad veda. He among us. Naha means among us. Tad veda tad veda. Navedeti vedacha. He among us knows like this, truly knows it. What do they know? He knows and yet does not know. That means he knows, but he does not completely know. He is a true knower, says that he knows, but not completely. That is the true knower. That is the right kind of knower. That's what the student is telling at this point. So the student accepts his inability as per Sampathanga, but in the next verse, that is, the next verse is yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya navedasaha avidyātam viśiṣṭādvaita Vijñātam avidyānatam. So the thing is, here there is a slight difference between the view of Rāmānuja and Sampathanga. Sampathanga says this is a continuation of students' acceptance that he doesn't know much. And Rāmānuja says, no, this is actually the view of the Shruti itself. So why does Rāmānuja feel like that? Because he understands this verse, yasya matam tasya matam matam yasya navedasaha, as the first line is, who does not have an opinion knows it, who has an opinion does not know it. Because avidyātam Vijñātam Vijñātam avidyānatam. It is not known for people who think that they know it in a particular way, because there is nothing particular about paramātman. So if he says, oh, I know this is exactly like paramātman, so it's paricchannatvat. He says, if he knows that Brahman is somehow limited, and he understands that limited nature of Brahman, he doesn't know. Vidyātam avidyānatam. It is known to a person who knows that Brahman is not restricted in any way, contained in any way. So that's how Rāmānuja takes. Sampathanga takes it slightly differently, because he wants to think for Sampathanga, the whole of Shruti is a yoga. Okay, so it has to go step by step, from one step to the other, one step to the other. That's how he thinks in that way. So what does he think? Let's see in the next class, in the next slide. This is still the explanation here, because the next slide hasn't come here. It's just a summary, I think, so far. One who admits they cannot form an opinion about divinity actually holds a correct understanding. So this is actually Sampathanga's view here. One who admits they cannot form an opinion about divinity actually holds a correct understanding. One who claims to have formed an opinion truly has no understanding, no proper understanding, as direct articulation is impossible. Because he will fail to, if he says, oh, I have formed an opinion, then what opinion is that? When he starts saying that, he knows that he will go wrong. So he will never be able to tell you, because he doesn't understand. A true knower is one who acknowledges they do not know it, even intuitively. Here, Sampathanga places an emphasis on the word Vijñātam, Avidyātam. Why for him, intuition is important. What is intuition? What you cannot get out of external material knowledge. Something yogic process is intuition.
Question.
So
should we say that do not know it fully?
yeah, see, that is the real meaning. Do not know fully only, right?
Okay.
But the thing is, the original verses are slightly different, right? That is why they're trying to make sense out of the original verses.
Okay.
Avidyātam means they don't know it. Vijñātam. So the thing is, the way Sampathayakar understand this is, Vijñātam means even those who do intuition or yoga, even though those people don't know it. Avidyātam. That means even with intuition, they don't seem to know Brahman. Those who do not succeed. The next verse, Vijñātam Avidyānatam. That is Vijñātam Avidyānatam is the next portion of the last sentence. This is understood by Sampathayakar in a slightly different way. Those who do not succeed in seeing it in intuition, or that is, those who transcend the limitations of sensory and mental apprehension, still do not succeed in seeing it in intuition, are the ones who truly realize it. This is sort of, kind of a weird statement.
Swami, so in the second paragraph, the first sentence you say even intuitively they don't know.
Correct.
And the following sentence is do not succeed in intuition. But the sentence mentioned in the brackets, those who transcend the limitations of sensory and mental apprehension, is that not what is intuition? A knowledge which is
intuition is crossing the limitations of sensory and mental apprehension. Yes.
So only by intuition they truly realize it, right?
See, in this state, what Sampathayakar is saying is, in this state, even if they go through intuition, they are not truly apprehending it. They are failing to understand even through intuition. And they are the true. They are in the true path. Why?
Okay, even after intuition, they accept that they fully don't know. That's the true knowledge. Is that what he's saying?
Yes, in a way. Yes, that means even with intuition, they are not getting it. Even if they go beyond the limitations of mind and senses, they are not getting it. They are the true knowledgeable people, because this is where the Sampathayakar throws in his real answer here. Look, the moment you say you are trying to succeed with intuition, that means that you are not including a big person within this whole system, that is Īśvara. You can get all these things only through Īśvara anugraha, or the grace of the Lord. You yourself will never be able to get anything. That he wants to emphasize. What is not emphasized in some other bhashyas are the value of grace of Īśvara. Right?
That's true.
Sampathayakar is saying that Avidyātam, even intuitively, if you try it only by intuition, it will not work. And how much ever you transcend the sensory and mental limitations, you will still not realize it. But he is still the true realizer, because he is going in the right direction.
So should we say will realize it? Because it is in the future.
You can say that. Yes, you can say that. Yes, agree.
So Swami, I have a counter question based on this question that Langoji asked. So if we say that we truly realize it, then doesn't that defeat the argument Sampathayakar is making here, that you can never fully know it, or you can never know it for that matter, because it is unlimited or infinite?
See, that's a good question. It is what the Lord Īśvara can give you is he can make aghatita ghatana samartha, right? Īśvara he can make something which is impossible as possible. For example, simple thing. This is the most well-quoted verse in the Vedas. Anoraniyan mahato mahiyan Atmasya jantuh nihitam guhayam anoraniyan mahato mahiyan. Remember this verse? Have you heard this verse?
Yeah, smaller than the smallest, larger than the largest.
Huh?
Yeah. Smaller than the smallest, larger than the largest. I understand this. Yeah.
Correct. Smaller than the smallest, larger than the largest is a physically impossible thing.
Yeah, because logically it doesn't make sense. That's what
Doesn't
you're
make
trying to
sense
say,
at
right?
all. But
Yeah.
he makes that happen. That is Brahman. So the thing is, even though one cannot completely know Brahman, Brahman can give the grace to a person who can send him to Vaikuntha and make him all-knowing, like himself.
No, the way in which I always felt is something like this. I will express, I think. See, there is no concrete step, like follow this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on the 6th step, you will reach it. There is a big unknown exist, and then there is no scientific or, there is no way it can happen. So we sum it up all those things and then call it as God's grace. So that is the way I always feel.
True.
Like people say it can happen tomorrow, and then it can happen after a million janma also. No one knows, like follow the step. We are all preparing for it. Because of God's grace, it happens.
I think you're hinting at the right point here. What Sampathanga is trying to make a point here is you have to give up everything, even achievement of a goal, to Brahman. The total surrender is total in the sense that you don't assume that you have any independence of whatsoever, any independence to do anything whatsoever. So it is a total reliance and surrender to Brahman. And that's the only way. And Brahman will give you when he wants it. That also you don't ask. So that is where in human meditation also this is given as a formula to everybody, right? Don't expect anything.
Correct.
Just do it.
Yeah.
So that is actually a form of true surrender. And that's what he is trying to say. And this form of true surrender seemed to be missing in an Advaitic view. Is his his understanding of it. But an Advaitian would disagree with it and say that no, we have accounted that also in our system because bhakti is necessary. Even Shankaracharya says that Sharanagati, Īśvara, without Īśvara Sharanagati, what do you call Īśvara anugraha, without Īśvara anugraha, Advaita bhavana does not come. Īśvara anugraha deva pumsam Advaita bhavana is said in an Advaitic passage. So they may disagree with Sampathanga's claim, right? That is the modern Advaitis or anybody now would disagree that look, Sharanagati or surrender is inbuilt within Advaita also. In the form of, we'll just call it as unreal or Vyavaharika Satya or relative reality. That's all. It doesn't matter what we call. We define ultimate reality as only one and non-changing and with no nirguna. So everything belongs to the relative world or Vyavaharika Satya. Fine. There we agree with Sharanagati, total surrender, everything like that. But what Sampathanga is trying to make a point is some things by nature, some things in Advaita do not fall into place. And let's see how he says that. We'll figure that out. But that is it. See, everywhere there is an argument and a counter-argument. Argument and a counter-argument. When will it end? It will never end. In future also there will be some person who will be supporting one view and somebody will find an answer to that view and say, no, this is how we agree. We have to only try to get the trend of the arguments to understand these two systems. That's all. So student is silent now. He senses the current mode of worship Upāsanā is insufficient. He wants further guidance. Teacher appreciates the student's mature stance that he knows what he knows, but he knows clearly what he doesn't know. And teacher explains prepares to explain in 2 stages what constitutes fertile Upāsanā or devotional meditation and its vital importance. So that is how Sampath views the next portion of next few verses of the second section, Kāṇḍa. Okay. So here, to clarify the prior verse, Vyjātam means known, Vijñātam means specifically known. See, this is where Sampath makes a difference between Jñātam and Vijñātam. Right? Vijñātam is viśiṣṭādvaita, through Upāsanā, through some kind of meditation, knowing is Vijñātam. Jñātam is to know it just like trying to understand. Right? The student conveys to teacher that his practice of yoga has not culminated in a perfect specific knowledge. He does not have the right vijnana. So he needs to attain a higher knowledge. This is upasanatmika knowledge which he wants. And to understand this upasanatmika knowledge, one has to clearly understand what was learned earlier in the Īśa Upaniṣad. Where in the Īśa Upaniṣad is Upāsanā explained properly? In the several verses 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Those are not the triad verses. The first triad is the Vidyā, Avidyā triad. The second triad is Sambhuti, Asambhuti triad. These two have to be understood properly. These two aspects of the Īśavasya should be understood properly before you can understand the next portion of the Kena Upaniṣad. So now we go again back to the drawing board and figure out what was said in the Īśa Upaniṣad. Īśa is the Lord, he is the controller, he is the Mahadeva, and Īśana, there's the highest deity is Mahadeva. Īśana is the ruler. God is described as immanent within the universe that he created, and that is in the first 8 verses of the Īśa Upaniṣad. His immanence, and he creates that. Realization of God requires Vidyā, and to qualify for Vidyā, one must first engage in Avidyā, that is, which is other than knowledge, which is karma. And this is the verse 9 to 11. So you need both karma and jnana to get realization of God here. See, you cannot, this is in a way karma yoga, jnana yoga. But in Bhagavad Gītā, we restrict the karma yoga and jnana yoga as that which only gives you jīvātman sakshatkara. Here, in the Īśavasya, Avidyā and Vidyā are used directly for paramātman sakshatkara. Because the goal in Īśavasya is paramātman sakshatkara. It sorts of, it steps over. It takes a double promotion and doesn't mention much about jīvātman in the Īśavasya Upaniṣad. That we need to keep in mind. That is why this kind of mapping and things like that, it's very complex in philosophy. See, Īśavasya does not talk about jīvātman sakshatkara at all. But in the Bhagavad Gītā, jīvātman sakshatkara is talked about. But that is assumed in the Īśavasya Upaniṣad. Avidyā karma is prescribed to secure the favor of subordinate deities in the cosmic administration. This was said in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gītā itself, right? Devan bhavayatanena te deva bhavayantu vaha parasparam bhavayantaha shreyaha paramavapsatha. In the 3rd chapter. So the thing is, you take care of the deities, the devatas, and they take care of their cosmic administrators. They will help you out to get you food and water and shelter and things like that. So pleasing the subordinate deity is also important. And because God is Īśa, he's a constitutional monarch. He doesn't do your local government. The local government are managed by the local deities. So this is the teaching attributed to Krishna in Gita, right? So Vidyā is defined as journey or pilgrimage of intelligence. Now try to understand Vidyā properly, right? Vidyā is the pilgrimage of intelligence. Our intelligence becomes more material initially, and we try to get material benefits initially. Then we realize that material benefits are finite and the life itself is finite, and we have to think about permanent solution. And so with jnana, you can get permanent solution. Jnana is derived from the word Vidyāne. With is the Sanskrit root for jnana. That is Vidyā. This intelligence in life has lost its independence and exists as buddhi. This is a fundamental premise. That means we are under the control of mind. And we are, though buddhi or intelligence should be totally independent of everything, it should be only attached to our jīvātman as a dharmabhuta jnana. That is the light of our jīvātman is the dharmabhuta jnana. And that should be the true form of buddhi. But the true form, unfettered, unconstrained, uncontracted, will only occur when the influence of mind is destroyed. So, the first job we have to do is we have to win over the mind, regain our true independence.
Swami, sorry, this intelligence you just meant dharma bhuta jnana, right?
Yeah, dharma bhuta jnana.
Okay.
Intelligence here is buddhi in a way. See, buddhi is the practical aspect of dharma bhuta jnana. Okay. In this world, it only operates as buddhi. That is why buddhi is intelligence. That is a common term used everywhere.
So it's same as dharma bhuta jnana, is it? Or you said that it's the instrument which has dharma bhuta jnana. Is that what you said?
Buddhi is
something like that.
Is the expression. That is dharma bhuta jnana when it operates through mind, samskaras, and all the limitations of the body, that becomes buddhi.
Okay.
Buddhi is colored by mind and mind's influence, usually.
Okay.
When buddhi breaks the fetters and gains control of the mind, then that buddhi becomes dharma bhuta jnana with less constraints or almost no constraint. Dharma bhuta jnana is always there with us, even now, but that is in a constrained manner because of the power of mind over us. So the means to achieve the independence or winning over of the mind is through sambhava. Samyak bhavaha yasmat. Sambhava means it. Samyak means well, and it's a good achievement. Sambhava implies that the intelligence must acquire the power to perceive Ātman, the individual self, before it can before it can do that. One second, just a little bit. Okay. First, this intelligence must first acquire the power to perceive ourselves, jīvātman. But to understand jīvātman, something should happen, right? What should happen? We should know that we are different from body. What does body comprises of? Body comprises of the physical aspect. There are 5 forms of physical panchabhutas: matter, earth, water, light, air, and ether. The senses. Senses are subtle, but also physical in a way. Vital energy, prana, and mind. These are all constituents or components of body. Buddhi can also be considered something within the body because it's subservient to mind, acting as its slave until it gets independence. So that is why dhīraha, the term word dhīraha means dhiya ramate iti dhīraha. Those who have won over the mind and made their mind, the buddhis, dhi is buddhi, and their buddhi is shining forward. They are resplendent in their buddhi. They have won over the mind. But till that happens, buddhi is a slave. This or Ātman, the self, is defined as that which is here. This Atma is jīvātman. This word is from the Alavandar statement. Alavandar is Yamunacharya. Yamunacharya statement. What is jīvātma? Deha indriya prana mana manodibhyo anyaha. Dehendriya prana manodibhyo anyaha. Okay. Sometimes this manas is not mentioned. Dehendriya pranadibhyo anyaha may be said somewhere. I'm not sure. I wrote this down. You can check the original sentence given by Alavandar. This realization of self is also known as attainment of Pratyakṣa. So the thing is, the first aspect of Pratyakṣa means it is, see, generally we have this idea in all our knowledge. Suppose I say I'm going to work. You say, oh, you. That asmita or ego is what you mention yourself as you. And that is Pratyakṣa. Pratyakṣa means knowing yourself by yourself. Parat is knowing outside objects. Pratyakṣa is knowing yourself as yourself, which manifests as ego initially, right? And then Pratyakṣa is self-consciousness of existence. Oh, I exist, which is evident in all types of consciousness through buddhi. So this is evident through our intellect. Pratyakṣa generally is understood as apperception, that is self-awareness and intelligence. That is apperception. While many consider Pratyakṣa to be Aparokṣa, the author states they are different. Pratyakṣa is self-consciousness. Aparokṣa is self-experience by jnana. So Aparokṣa is immediate experience of self, and that would become anubhava or experience of jīvātman. So what is Aparokṣa? When knowledge, jnana, becomes free of mind. So after buddhi loses its subservience to mind and gives up its worldly form, jnana becomes pure. And in that jnana, you experience itself. That is jīvātman. And that is Aparokṣa of the self. The apperceptiveness of self, Atma Avalokana. So the knowing yourself as different from body, mind, and intellect, that is Avalokana. You see yourself. And that is known as apperceptiveness. And its self-experience, Atmanubhava, are attainable through two stages of yoga. So one thing is Atma Avalokana. That is, you look at self as different. Oh, I see this new entity in the world. I see this, wind, water, sky, mind, bodies, everything like that. But I'm seeing something else. That is jīvātman. That is the first sight of jīvātman. But anubhava or experience of jīvātman is different. And that is the second stage. Atma avalokana, a perceptiveness of self is attained by asambhava. The word asambhava in the Īśa Upaniṣad gives you, that is, if somebody has this asambhava, they can see their own selves. Atma, to experience their self, they have to go through the process of sambhava as well. That's how Sampath maps this Atmanubhava, Atmavalokana of the Bhagavad Gītā into the Īśavasya in a way. By the way, I'll just stop here to ask you a question. Have you ever seen such a mapping between Īśa and Gītā and Kena? In ordinary textbooks, I have not seen. Have you? But I might have seen in a way that if you look at Uttamur Viragvacharya or details who give so many quotings here and there and here and there and here and there, they will always intrinsically say this. Even Rāmānuja, I'm sure even Shankaracharya, they connect all these things intrinsically, but it doesn't come out in the simple, clear way Sampath explains. That is his research project, which I'm trying to find out to start with, if it is worth it, and to explain it to you if it is worth it. Is it making sense?
Swami, just a quick question here. Pratyakṣa.
No, you're not allowed. You have to answer my question first.
Okay, sorry.
You can take your question later, but you're discontinuing the flow here.
Sorry.
I asked a question, and I want everybody to answer this.
Yeah, I am not that knowledgeable to say if something like this is mentioned anywhere else, but this is the first time I'm getting exposed to all these things.
Yeah, I second it. I'm the same state. So
Yeah, that is why I found this person in unique, because not because he's related to me as grandfather. He's not directly related to me. He's actually brother of my grandfather. But I found his views very distinct and his whole thinking pattern very unique. So now, and it also gives me some kind of thing, chew on. When I understand Bhagavad Gītā, I try to map the Īśavasya or any Upanishad onto the Bhagavad Gītā. I get some, oh my God, that's what is. So this is why they say, what do you call, the Bhagavad Gītā is the Sara or the essence of all Upanishads. Sarvo Upanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsaha Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gītāmritam Mahat. This is an Advaitic passage on Bhagavad Gītā. Actually, Advaita people have written this particular passage. What it says is, Sarvopanishado Gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha. That is, the Upanishads are like cows, and the milk of the cows is actually given by the milk, herds boy Gopala. Partho Vatsaha, the calf is Arjuna. Sudhir Bhokta, the enjoyer is everybody with intelligence can enjoy this. So that's how this verse comes up. And you can realize this connectivity between Upanishads and Bhagavad Gītā when you look at Sampatangar's analysis. That's all. Once by asambhava, the self regains its nature as a non-material substance. So the thing is, in an ordinary life, you get so involved in your bodily activities, food, water, shelter, earning, saving, taking care of diseases of somebody else and personal diseases. You get mixed up in this matter and you don't see yourself as separate from matter. But to get that itself is Atma Avalokana. So that once by asambhava self regains its nature as a non-material substance, it must earn the title of Kshetrajñā. So you should know, I should know everything about this Kshetra or this universe. And knower by intelligence. And this is acquired by gaining power to rule over mind. This process involves the destruction or vinasha of the intellectual form of mind, of intellectual form of intelligence. So in the normal buddhi format, intelligence is just to be smart. Oh, I know how to drive. I know I can drive a plane. I know how to program. I know how to do surgery, kind of thing. This is all intelligence applied to matter. This is a restricted aspect of intelligence, and that should be destroyed, and you should get super intelligence. And when you get power over your mind, the mind is disconnected, then you will get super intelligence. Then you will become Kshetrajñā. What is said in the Bhagavad Gītā as Kshetrajñā. In fact, in the Bhagavad Gītā, the jīvātman, which is Kshetrajñā, is when it goes beyond the mind, it is said is almost equivalent to God. That will take over later. That is some details about the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gītā. You can look into it just as a casual research. So you have to destroy the regular aspects of intelligence which is bound in this matter or mind. So self-realization, pure realization of who you are completely is sambhuti. It is a profound wealth. It is samichina Īśvarya. Samichina means nearby. The wealth is right nearby. Where is it? Right in you. Don't look outside. It's in you. And that experience gives you self-realization. Samichina means nearby. Self-experience is achieved through this crusade, This word crusade, I used to think that the crusade is only the battle between the first, in the 10th century or something, the Christians waged several crusades to win over Jerusalem as their sacred city by opposing from the opposing forces, right? But crusade, exactly in a philosophical language, it means a zealous and idealistic struggle for a worthy cause or against a perceived limitation or evil of jnana's dependence on mind, while as buddhi. This is the crusade. That is why the word vinasha is used. Look at the word vinasha. So, vinasha, in which verse is this vinasha comes? Anybody? Where does this vinasha word come from in this context we're talking about? Anyone? The Sambhuti Asambhuti verse in the second line uses vinasha. Instead of Asambhuti, it uses the word vinasha. Do you remember? Okay. I don't know if I quoted this here. No, I did not quote it here.
You did from verse 14, you mentioned that it is there.
Exactly. In the verse 4, I should have written that verse for you people to experience the real knowledge here. That is Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yastad veda ubhayagam saha what do you call some vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutya amritamashnute. Vinashena mrityum tirtva. It said. So the vinasha is same as asambhuti. So in the viśiṣṭādvaita view, you don't need to change the original Upanishad in any way. Shankaracharya changes the very original Upanishad, say Sambhuti, he says Asambhuti there. It is Chandasa, or some reason he gives. But in the Viśiṣṭādvaita view, Sambhuti Asambhuti is taken exactly as it is. Vinasha is taken exactly as it is. And the vinasha refers to Asambhuti. And that is, why is vinasha? It is destruction. The destruction of the normal order of life. Then only you can go further. These three verses in the Īśa Upaniṣad, 12 to 14, describe this. That is the Sambhuti Asambhuti process. And that is directed towards realization of Brahman, paramātman. So the Upāsanā meditation worship in its mature form requires undergoing 3 courses. What are the 3 courses? And that is described in 12 to 14. Okay, that is vinasha, asambhava, sambhuti, sambhava, and Vidyā. The Vidyā should continue. Vidyā was said in the earlier this one, but Vidyā should powerfully continue. So these are the 3 courses you require for Upāsanā. So the first 2 is vinasha and sambhuti, form composite process of self-realization and self-experience. It is known as Upāsanā. The first portion is Upāsanā, but there God is mentioned. It sort of bhakti yoga only, but still it is known as self-realization and self-experience. When you realize yourself completely, you will also realize self as a shesha of paramātman, self as a subordinate and integrally connected, powered by, and existing only because of paramātman. So this is known as Upāsanā. Divine assistance is essential in both these processes. Whether you want to win over your mind from ordinary life to the supreme intelligence, yes, you need help from God. So divine assistance is essential to both these processes, and even more so to succeed in Vidyā. So the Vidyā is something which comes a little later. The true Vidyā, that is Bhakti Yoga. And that is explained. That is obvious because after 12, 13, and 14 triad verses, you get 15 to 18, which are purely prayers. Why does Suddenly the Upanishad, from instruction, it goes to prayer, because without the help of the Lord, nothing can be achieved. And that is the conclusion of the Upanishad. The 18th is Agni, Nayasupata, Raje, Asman. So the thing is, prayers are the only way. For the first stage of anugraha upasana, self exists in its material form as ego. During upasana, the self perceives itself as God in a form that is very agreeable to its understanding. Because when it goes further, it thinks that I'm saying God. That is why it is known as I, because it is actually going towards a jīvātma I, to the inside of the I called the paramātman I. So our I is actually coming from the paramātman itself. So what we feel as I is coming from the power of paramātman within. So we'll go back to the review of lecture 50. Here, what time is it now?
Yeah.
What is it?
9:30 in India.
9:30. 9:30. Okay. And it is 8 o'clock here. So we have finished 1.5 hours now. You know one thing, why don't we do one thing? Let us take this review of Upasana in the next class. Unfortunately, tomorrow, that is Sunday, is I think 16th, and it coincides that is a Pitrakarya has to be done, Tarpana has to be done. I am not available. So tomorrow I cannot take a class. Today is Saturday. We will continue next week from where we left off. But this is better to go slowly and steadily, because we are actually combining Chandogya also here. Chandogya stuff also comes up here, because anugraha upasana is explained in Chandogya Upanishad. So this also gives us to clearly, understand fundamentals in a correct way. Let's do that. No issue. Any questions so far? If not, we will end the class.
Swami, can I pose my question now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Pratyaktva and Aparokṣa, is it not the same meaning?
Not the same.
Pratyak means
Pratyak
Aparokṣa,
means
right?
inside, right?
Indirect.
Pratyaksh means inside. Parak means outside, right? Pratyak means going inside yourself and knowing who you are.
Okay. I understand. Sir.
Any other question? All right. Well, so far, is it okay? Any feedback? Are you getting any value out of this, or getting bored of something
Actually, I have a
being
question.
told so many times?
Actually, I have a question.
Go ahead.
How can you say that, you said the experience of self, like in one of the slides, what exactly that means, and then the previous wording was self-consciousness, and then experiencing self, so what is the difference, and then how do you explain experiencing self?
Okay. See, the thing is, the good question, hard to answer, because only when you experience self, you will know how that it is different, right? That's one thing. The simple way to understand is self right now is more taken as a just a subject, as I, in any kind of predicate, in any kind of verb or action or things like that. I think.
Yeah.
So I know I exist. I am
Correct.
doing this, so I exist. It is more about existence and self-consciousness that you are there, right?
Correct.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, what about the nature of you? The true self is beyond mind, uncontrollable by mind. The true self is beyond mind completely. That this aspect, we don't understand it, because we operate through our minds. That's one aspect of it. The second thing is, self is anandamaya. There is so much bliss in the self. This you experience. If somebody does any reasonable level of meditation, they can easily figure out. First, they will get peace or shanti.
True.
Because they are not affected by the changes of the matter. They
True.
don't care how much money they have at that time. They don't care about anything around them at that time. They become peaceful first. Like how you are peaceful while you're sleeping.
True.
The person who has nothing in the bank account, when he sleeps, he forgets it. So initially they get the idea of peace. Then they get the idea of ananda, bliss. Oh my God, that's fantastic. It is not like happy in the terms of getting, oh, I got $1 million, I became happy. Not like that. Something unique, untouchable by matter. This kind of ananda comes, the bliss comes within.
True.
And if it goes further and further and further, relationship, everybody in this universe, relationship between God and yourself, relationship with this whole creation, and knowledge of everything will all come within in this one. So self-realization goes from stages to stages to stages and goes
Correct,
further.
I agree. Yeah. So that is what is defined as self-experience.
True.
Okay, got it.
And one more thing you were mentioning, even those Buddhists who do not assume self will eventually understand self. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Okay. What is the final goal and final achievement, Buddhaji? Somebody asked. What did Buddha say? Anybody? What is the final achievement in Buddhism? Anyone?
Realizing nothing is real. Nothing is real. And
what is the term for it in Buddhism?
Enlightenment? No.
What is the term? What is the specific
Shunyata.
term used in Buddhism?
They become empty.
There is a term for it which is common to all types of Buddhism. What is the term?
Anatma?
No.
Okay.
Nirvana.
Yeah.
Nirvana is the right term which encompasses, which puts itself, that is the final perfect view of Buddhism, right? Then somebody went to Buddhaji and asked, oh Buddha, you say everything is impermanent and you say everything is kshanikam, sarvam kshanikam, 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 kshanikam. That means everything is momentary. Everything passes away. Sarvam dukhamayam, dukhamayam, dukhamayam. Everything is only misery of different kinds. If you say, is nirvana permanent or not?
Good question. Yeah.
What was his answer? Anybody? Does anybody remember what Buddha answered for this?
You will know when you realize it.
I'll keep that in a side. I want to ask other people if they have any other answer. Okay, you have not come across this. Buddha remained silent, never answered. This was during his last phases of life.
You mentioned that in one of the lectures actually about that. There are so many questions he had not answered and he remained silent. I went back and searched, then that's how I came to know about this anatma. So
there are 14 questions he did not answer. And this is one of them. And what you meant is sort of right. That means you realize it and you figure out, don't ask me.
Yeah.
So his whole purpose of his life would be destroyed if you say that something is nirvana is not permanent. Okay. And if he says nirvana is permanent, then his whole theory of Buddhism will fail. Right? He will become an Advaitin.
Yeah.
So he wants to assume that there is nothing which exists. Because if he says that it is permanent, and people will hold on to the concept that there is something permanent, and they will lose the process of meditation.
Yeah.
They will stop meditating because they think, oh, Ātman is, I'm already Brahman anyway. See, this is a fear of false understanding.
Correct.
So even if So what is that permanent? We call it Ātman. If you call it Nirvana is permanent, fine, keep it yourself. We'll call it as Ātman, that's all.
Yeah.
So the processes don't change. The methodology changes, the goal changes. So our ideology and attitude towards sadhana changes in life. That's all.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Nothing? Okay. Asmadgurubhyo namaha, Ātman paramagurubhyo namaha, Ātman sarvagurubhyo namaha, Shri Krishna Parabrahmane namaha, Shri Lakshmi Nrsimha Parabrahmane namaha, Shri Lakshmi Hayavadana Parabrahmane namaha, Sarvam Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Okay, we'll stop here.